Self-awareness gives them a way to look not just at their challenges, but also to see what they are good at. So the students must be aware, they should be knowing in what they are good at. Next is self-management. Uh, do your students have managing capability? Uh, do we ask our students whether they are having managing capability or not? So self-management allows students to follow through on plans to complete assignments, study for tests, and stay focused in class. So in this way, they can have better self-management. Next is relationship. Relationship skill. Relationship skills are critical to success in life. In this, we can teach our students to communicate clearly, listening actively, cooperating, and you can ask them that थोड़ा अपने आप को बचा लो, थोड़ा अपने आप को दूर रखो, especially with inappropriate social pressure से, जो कि सही नहीं है. That the pressure, that social pressure is not good one. So we can ask them to be away from that. The next is social awareness. It's very, very important and quite vital for the students. So we need to know that how socially our students are aware, in how or what way they manage. Social awareness help students in improving their social correct. If it is wrong or incorrect, when we take decision, how do you tackle, or do you tackle yourself the situation or be panic? So here the students need to stay calm, but evaluator of a different kind, because in today's this 21st century skills, when we talk about, every child is different. The learner here has to be learning, hence he must be knowing advance what the learning outcomes is being defined. So a learner, one who is learning, he should be knowing in advance. उसको पहले से पता होना चाहिए कि उसका क्या आउटकम आना है, राइट. उनको ये पता होना चाहिए. लाइक इन दिस ड्राइवर जो है यहाँ पे, जो एक लर्नर है जो ड्राइविंग सीखने के लिए आया है, ड्राइवर और लर्नर knows that he has to learn driving, उसे पता है. Similarly, a student must know what learning outcomes they need to achieve. तो हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनको ही पता होना चाहिए कि वो क्या अचीव करने वाले हैं. It's not the teacher who should only know the learning outcome. It's even the child. He should know that after this capsule teaching, what should I be able to learn and how will I implement it in real life situation. So if they know, they can gain it better, they can it better. वो सही तरीके से उसका यूज कर पाएंगे. अगर उन्हें सही तरीके से पता हो, उन्हें आउटकम पता हो कि क्या होने वाला है, then they can go for that. And of course these all are guided by learning outcomes. ये सारे जो आएंगे वो learning outcomes में आएंगे. The learning outcomes will not only develop new competencies, but it will ensure the mastery to encounter unfamiliar situations on the roads, as the learner is here to learn driving. In the same way, our students will be also able to implement his skills, knowledge in this incoming era. Going to the next slide. In Hindi. Okay. So the next slide is outcome-based approach, learning outcomes. Right. So going with this, as proper framing of the learning outcomes and linking with linking them with pedagogical process is crucial in the success of CB. थोड़ा सा crucial होता है with pedagogical, right? We must have learned in our PED classes. हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है से. How it's amazing to listen this that the engineers जो अपना course बहुत ही सही तरीके से thoroughly complete कर लेते हैं और उसके बाद भी ये condition है कि 19% of them they are well employable, right? So when we talk about this learning outcome, why are we so focusing? हम लोग क्यों ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं इस पे? Why CBSE is focusing on learning outcome? CBSE क्यों इतना फोकस कर रहे हैं इस पे? Because it is sorry state that is here Ponderover just mentioned here, that only 19% of engineering graduation of India, they are getting in what लिए उन्हें ट्रेंड किया गया है. उन 100% में 90% लोगों को ही जो इंजीनियर्स है उनको इस तरीके से जॉब सही तरीके का मिल पाया है. वो अलग चीज है. Rest of them, if you talk about rest of them, they are also gainfully employed and earning money, but they are not getting or doing what they were taught during their degree college. तो actually जो उनको मिला, जो उनको मिलना चाहिए था, वो नहीं मिला उनको. In the same way और भी बहुत सारे जो सर्वे जो है हुए हैं, like about English speaking. And 2014 or 15 it was done, and there 14% people only were found speaking English well or using. So going to the next slide. Role of teacher in achieving learning outcomes to be based on CB. Along with here are some points you can see. Students should be allowed to crack knowledge out of experience. तो students को ये मौका मिलना चाहिए क्लासेस में कि हम उसे बताएं कि वो अपने नॉलेज को क्रैक करें, राइट, और अपने एक्सपीरियंस को शेयर करें, राइट. They should be given chance to use. वो खुद करें, उन्हें हम एक पाथ दिखाएं, हम लोग उसे मतलब एक डायरेक्शन दे, ना कि कंप्लीट वो करके दिखा दे कि ऐसे करते हैं, राइट. So we are there to give them direction, and they will be following, and just they will be cracking their own, right. And the next is student to engage in collaboration, communication, creativity, choice, critical thinking. So in this way students should be engaged. That will be talking about this collaboration, communication, creativity and choice, or will be in the next slide. I have planned that. Going to the next, repose faith in child own creative instincts, right. So in this we are there to trigger curiosity, right. तो वो बच्चों में वो curiosity हमें लाना है, hit करना है, right, redefine करना है, right, और उन्हें engage करना है. We are there to engage them with the activity boxes. बहुत सारे activities होते हैं जो उसके साथ हम लोगों को engage कर देना है बच्चों को उसमें. And next is education must be inherently experiential. चलो इससे पहले मैं बात करता हूँ peer to peer learning, right. Peer to peer learning, that is face to face, you can say. It is mode of learning for everyone, by everyone, about almost anything, right. So that peer to peer learning can be there, and these also building curiosity in students. Next is critical thinking and this experiential. We're talking about this. Actually, CBSE has announced critical thinking weekly practical program in January 2020. तो CBSE ने already इसको announce कर रखा है. What it tells about CBSE is sharing 5 questions everywhere. We must go at our Diksha app, that where we are completing our uh, training also, and all the stuff are available there. And see it, उस पे जाकर हम देख सकते हैं, right? For use of students and teachers, it is for both for teachers and students too. And and now circular link is already shared by the respective principals of our schools, and I'm sure they must have shared it. Right. So this critical thinking is there. Now we'll talk about experiential learning. Uh, we often hear very interesting it is experiential. इसको हम लोग बहुत interesting बना सकते हैं हम लोग. We often use it. We often hear teachers in the PTM telling the parents, when parents come, जब आते हैं parents तो हम लोग बताते हैं. We just keep informing them that your child is disengaged. He easily, or he or she, whatever, easily gets distracted. He or she doesn't show any interest in the learning. So with these kind of problems, experiential learning will come to your rescue. Right. So in this way we can find out experiential. तो अगर बात करते हैं कि what is experiential learning? It is a process of learning through doing and then reflecting. पहले कर लेंगे फिर reflect करते हैं. We all understand and we all know that, or I'm sure that we retain 75% of what we do as compared to 5% of what we hear and 10% of what we read. I hope my screen is visible. Asutosh sir, is it quite visible? Fine, going to the next slide. Now next, components of competency-based education. In this, clearly defined learning outcomes, flexible time frame, multiple pedagogies, variety of engaging contents, criterion referenced content, and demonstrated learning outcomes. So these components of competency-based education, beginning with clearly defined learning outcomes. Is it visible, my PPT? I'm getting some messages that it's not visible.
Yes, PPT is visible.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, fine. So clearly defined learning outcomes. Students' learning outcomes are statements that specify what students will know, be able to do, or be able to demonstrate when they complete or participate in a course or program, right? तो this learning outcomes ये clearly define होना चाहिए बच्चों को कि कैसे वो अगर करते हैं तो बाद में उनको क्या मिलने वाला है, जो भी जहां भी पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं किसी भी कोर्स पे किसी भी प्रोग्राम में, तो आउटकम जो है वो क्या आना है. नेक्स्ट इज flexible. It should be flexible. Modes of flexible learning include face-to-face interaction, contact, websites with interaction, content of chat rooms, discussion, boards, and so on. These all will be in flexible time frame. So यहाँ थोड़ा सा flexibility आती है. Multiple pedagogies that we were there earlier also. So in multiple pedagogies, we can use textbooks. Textbook को use कर सकते हैं with plenty of pictures and diagrams. Should be inspiration, a good laugh, or something useful or entertaining. थोड़ा सा एंटरटेनिंग अगर आप देते हैं तो शायद वो ज़्यादा एंगेज होंगे स्टूडेंट्स, वो थोड़ा सा एंटरटेन करेंगे और फिर कुछ लर्न भी करेंगे. Right, next is criterion referenced content. So criterion reference content is designed to measure a student's academic performance. तो ये एक्चुअली करता है कि वो स्टूडेंट्स के एकेडमिक परफॉर्मेंस को ये जज करता है, राइट, अगेंस्ट सम स्टैंडर्ड और क्राइटेरिया, कुछ क्राइटेरिया के साथ. दिस स्टैंडर्ड और क्राइटेरिया इज प्रीडिटरमाइंड, ये प्रीडिटरमाइंड होते हैं बिफोर स्टूडेंट्स बिगिन द टेस्ट, टेस्ट शुरू करने से पहले. सो learning outcome, now demonstrated learning outcomes. A learning outcome is a class statement of what a learner is expected to be able to do and how well they should be expected to achieve those outcomes and how its attainment is to be demonstrated. So how this learning outcomes will be demonstrated by our students, that will be same. Going to the next slide. Curriculum mapping. The process of matching learning outcomes with elements of the curriculum. Curriculum should be emphasized on knowledge and skills. So it's very important to classify, or we will see this traditional method versus CBE method. So we'll talk about, if we talk about traditional method, traditional method of teaching is when a teacher directs students to learn through memorization and recitation techniques, जब वो इस technique को use करते हैं, and that is why what happens, students critical thinking, problem solving and decision making skills are not developed. तो अगर वैसे करते हैं तो ये नहीं हो पाता है, डेवलप नहीं हो पाता है. In other words, we can say that traditional methods are teacher focused while CBE method are student centered. So this method will compare, there are some points mentioned here. So students advancement depend upon test scores in traditional method, and whereas students advancement after they master required skill set, तो इसमें वो डिपेंड करता है कि वो उसमें कितना एक्सपर्ट है उस स्किल को ऑब्जर्व करने में. Learning goals are based on students' biological age, so it was used there in traditional method, biological age, but in this not. Learning goals are set according to the student's need, not according to the biological age. So CBE method में हम इससे focus करेंगे. Some students receive support if they are below a required level. तो कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को मिलता था सपोर्ट अगर उनको वो है रिक्वायर, अगर उनके पास वो रिक्वायरमेंट है तो. बट यहाँ पे क्या है, इन सीबीई मेथड में ऑल स्टूडेंट्स रिसीव डिफरेंशिएटेड सपोर्ट. तो हियर दे ऑल विल बी गेटिंग differentiated support, is not the same one. Next is assessment is mostly summative and in the same format for all the students. So that summative it was, but now assessment is embedded throughout and may be different for each student. So now अब ये assessment जो है हर student के लिए अलग अलग होता है, because all the students are not the same, and there are different in the classroom we find, हम लोग को तो मिलता है कुछ स्लो लर्नर्स होते हैं, कुछ फास्ट लर्नर्स होते हैं, राइट. तो विल बी गेटिंग such assessment in this CBE. Next is learning outcomes consist of mostly on comprehension and memorization that I discussed here already. Learning outcomes, in if we see in CBE method, learning outcomes consist of deep learning and mostly an application, evaluation and creativity. So this means in traditional we were there to ask the students to memorize, recite, but here we'll be asking them to have deep learning, right? Gain properly. Students' performance is graded using test, so test hai wo. But here students' performance is graded by individual growth and mastery. So यहाँ पे अगर हम उसे उसकी जो ग्रेडिंग करेंगे तो उनके इंडिविजुअल ग्रोथ पे करेंगे और उनके मास्टर पे करेंगे. Going to the next slide. Now CBE based on 21st century skills, learning 4 C's: critical thinking, creative and innovative, collaboration, communication, and literary skills, that is IMT, information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy, and in life skills, that is flexibility and adaptability, leadership and responsibility, initiative and self-direction, social and cross-cultural interaction. So let's begin with this 4 C's, critical thinking, as I told there that we will be discussing later on. So critical thinking is the analysis of facts to form a judgment, right? Critical thinking is required for a learner to think in a clear, rational, logical, and independent manner. So that is critical thinking. Creative and innovative. So creativity is the tendency to generate social skills. तो जितना भी हम उसे creative बनाएंगे वो social skills को generate करेगा. बहुत सारे ideas उसके पास आएंगे, बहुत सारे alternatives उन्हें मिलेंगे, बहुत सारी possibilities जो है, संभावनाएं जो है वो बढ़ेगा जब हम उन्हें creative बनाएंगे. और it is useful in solving problems and multiple approaches to a situation. That will be helping a lot when the students become creative. And if we talk about innovation, थोड़ा innovation पे discuss करते हैं. We all keep जैसे कि हम लोग बात करते हैं ना अक्सर innovation हम लोग अक्सर बात करते रहते हैं. Innovation, and we all want a latest washing machine in our home, right? We all want latest car in our home, right? But we don't want innovate, लेकिन खुद innovate नहीं होना चाहते. So that is tragedy. यही तो बहुत बड़ी tragedy है, right? We want innovative ideas, right? New things, but we actually don't want to innovate, right? So now when we talk about innovation in education, अगर इस education में innovation की बात करें, बहुत सारे activities जो है हम organize करवा सकते हैं, right? And the question comes that why do need to innovate? क्यों जरूरी है? So why? Because we need to keep the interest of the child. The child is the centered, right? And today, along with learning outcome, so we need to innovate so that the interest is maintained. तो अगर innovation हम करें, अगर innovative ideas लाए और बच्चों में innovation दे और उन्हें बताएं कि वो innovative बने, तो वो जो interest है उनका जो है interest वो लगातार maintain रहेगा, right? And how we'll do it? अब करना कैसे है, इसको करेंगे कैसे? तो simple है, ये through project based हम लोग कर सकते हैं, right? और we can make them free, हम उनको एकदम free छोड़ सकते हैं, give them break, उन्हें break दे सकते हैं, right? And they can easily go for that. Next is literary skills, that is IMT. I'll go in a short this one. IMT, information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. If we talk about the students, they are smarter than us in this. तो हम लोग से ज़्यादा smart बच्चे हैं यहाँ पे, उन्हें ज़्यादा पता है. So IMT makes the learning environment more interesting. बहुत ज़्यादा interesting बनाता है. They are very eager to learn with such IMT, right? And than a traditional classroom environment, and helps the students perform better in their respective classes. And if they go with this, they perform better also. And as we are very clear that they are quite smart and they are smarter than us. And here we'll talk about life skill, their flexibility. So flexibility is a critical quality of an individual, or if we can talk about a team, to adjust or change oneself to best meet the needs of a situation or environment. So the next we'll talk about leadership and responsibility. So leadership is the life skill that helps one learn the art of building relationship within teams, uh, define as negative behavior. Right. Social skills learning promotes students' academic success, health, and overall well-being. So in this way, the social skills help the students. Going to the next slide later. How many slides are remaining? Next is implementation. Okay. So this implementation of competency-based education identify the basic skills of learner, right? So we can easily identify that is the best on reading, writing, listening, speaking. So how to improve their reading skills, how to improve their writing skills, how to improve their listening skills, speaking skills. तो कैसे करना है हमको उसके लिए? So these are the basic skills. ये सारे basic skills हैं, right? For that, teachers should do what? There are some points mentioned here. Teachers should be doing, and this set a standard content while preparing for a new lesson. When they prepare a new lesson, every lesson should aim at introduction of new information and skill. जो भी वो lesson prepare करते हैं. Review previously learned materials and established purpose of lesson. It should be done. We should be going with review of previously learned one. Provide an opportunity to the learners to apply new skills and knowledge in a different functional context. So such opportunity should be uh, uh, given to the students, to the learners, so that they may apply new skills, ताकि वो नए skills को apply कर पाए, है ना, in different functional context. The same continue with this. Avail the learning materials to the students in a manner that allows them to progress at their own pace. तो जो भी materials है उनको avail करवाना, ताकि वो अपने खुद के पेस जितना वो कर सकते हैं वो उससे सही तरीके से कर पाए. Next, initiate group activities or projects. The next will be give freedom to the students to be creative or selective. Next is allow the students to reflect on performance. Next, offer the target to aim, but do not prescribe the path to achieve the goal. Very, very important. Means provide them opportunity to do themselves. उनको खुद से करना है, हमें नहीं help करना है. Follow a more practical and professional approach. कुछ ज़्यादा practical और professional approach को follow. All about the last slide. So ending with this beautiful quote: "Don't aspire to be the best in the team. Aspire to be the best for the team." Thank you. Now over to you, Subhay sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And good evening, everyone. Myself, Subhay Kumar, STNC, Secretary of the School. I'd like to express my compliments to the principal come President Sahodaya Complex, Sri O.P. Yadav sir, and Principal of Modern Public School, Sri Shailendra Kumar Singh sir, for their positive initiation regarding
Very
now
much, sir.
studies.
Myself,
I would also like to
Adarsh
thank
Plus 2
all the
Vidyalaya
teachers
Madhukar.
Thank you, Subha sir. Thank
present
you.
over here in the meeting. I must thank today resource person, Mr. Praveen Kumar, for his very nice and
Thank you, sir.
I would also like to thank Mr. Asutosh Kumar Gautam and Mr. Fayaz Kesher for their technical support.
Thank you,
Again,
sir.
I am very thankful to all the participant teachers and all the dignitaries present over here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Should we
Should
end
we
this session
end this
now?
session now?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
We can leave, sir.
Can we leave, sir?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
हाँ, नहीं नहीं
Excuse me, Asutosh sir. Asutosh sir. Uh, sir is there and sir is saying something. So please listen now.
देखो 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 वीडियो नहीं को बंद दिखता है दिखता है कि जूम में से पता चलता है इसे पता नहीं चलता है
Hello. I would like to request Shailendra sir to say something. If Shailendra sir, if you are present over here,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening, sir.
It's a wonderful session being conducted by Mr. Praveen Kumar. I'd like to express my gratitude to entire team of Sacred Heart School that they coordinated and organized this session in a wonderful way, and this was quite enriching. We all have learned a lot, and definitely all teachers who are participants would have taken away a lot of things from this session and will definitely implement in the classrooms, because whatever session we are conducting, that is basically for the children. We have to benefit by learning from these sessions. We have to ultimately benefit our children. So I'm sure all the teacher participants of Koderma School Sahodaya Complex will benefit from such session and will in turn benefit the children in the classrooms by implementing, by executing all these learned things. So once again, thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hope this kind of session will continue in future too, and those sessions will be definitely quite enriching and quite empowering for all of us. So we are looking forward for such wonderful sessions in future too. So I would request all the SNTC to just get their resource persons prepared in the way it has been presented so far. That level has to be maintained and it should go ahead with the kind we are presenting right now, the degree of enriching session that we are presenting now. This should continue in future too. So thank you, Mr. Subhay Kumar, Mr. Praveen Kumar,
Thank you, sir.
and all the all the team of Sacred Heart School.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, Asutosh, sir, now it should be ended now.
सर हमको लिंक चाहिए सर आई नीड लिंक सर
Link has been shared.
ओके सर थैंक यू इट इज नॉट शोइंग सर
लग गया